Welcome to another episode of the Lords of Consciousness podcast, videocast. I am your host, Clint Culberson, and I'm joined today by my lucky co-host, AJ Baker. AJ, welcome, man. Really good to have you on board for this one.
Yeah.
How is it, man? You're the absolute legend that you are.
It's awesome. I'm actually really stoked that I get to come on this. I just wanted to learn how Clint does all of this, the magic. I wanted to see the magic, and Chris was up to bat.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, that's why I was like, we're going to have Chris-Abert on tonight. And I was like, you should come on and co-host because it'd be awesome. Because I know you're looking to potentially do an interview with your yoga instructor, right? From your training in Costa Rica.
Yes, I did a YTT 200 level course, and she's doing like this. I forget what it's called. It's like it's all about the womb. It's all for pregnant women, and basically like it's divine getting pregnant.
That's awesome.
Divinely knocked up.
Yeah, getting divinely knocked up, I guess you could say. I know, it's interesting stuff. So
I'm excited to get to hear more. I mean, one thing with this website, with this media site, we really want to get a vast array of content. You know, oftentimes I like to concentrate on some of the conspiracy shit that's out there and really, and I think it's real because at the end of the day, there is a big fucking conspiracy going on, and I think we need to talk about it, and we got to talk about every element of it. But we also got to talk about the solutions, and there are people that are living the solutions right now, right here and right now, even amongst the shitstorm that we're all involved in with Donald Trump and, you know, the Clintons and the Obamas and the Russians and the, you know, Dakota Access Pipeline and just when you in the protests. Just when you think you can't handle it all and you realize, just take a step back and just let it all unfold and keep living your life. And we want to talk about people that are living that life and people that are living the solutions to the problems we have, and really are living lives that are incredibly rewarding. And that's why I have guys like you on. You know, AJ is a guide for AOA, which is an outfitting company that does tours out in national parks all across the country. He pretty much has a dream job. What's it like being in nature like that, dude?
Oh shit, man, it's the best. You get paid in sunsets, you know?
Paid in sunsets. It's pretty epic being in some of the best country in the entire world. So
it really is. When you look at the United States, it's like the American Southwest. So I'm from Michigan, so not too far from you, Chris.
Nice.
And coming out here, man, it's a trip.
This America is so beautiful. There's so many cool places to see on the East Coast, the Midwest, which is where you two came from. Beautiful parts. There is something though majestic as fuck about the Western United States. There's something about it with the Rocky Mountains going through and all the beautiful deserts and the forests and everything. It's a magical place. Now, we could keep talking about this, but I want to introduce our actual guest.
Yeah.
Okay, but we
Here we go.
We kind of have two guests. You know, AJ Baker is the co-hosting. He's written a blog with us already, and he's looking to do some these more interviews. And I just kind of wanted to share that. So, we have on a guy who we're trying to get on board as well, because we did put out the request for media passes to the Consciousness Festival that's down in, I can't remember what it's called. Consciousness, what is it, Chris?
Consciousness Media Festival, or Consciousness Creators Media Festival. I don't know the specific title.
It's in Austin, Texas. Aubrey Marcus is going to be speaking there. Guys like that. We want to be there too. So we'll tag them on this because we would love to be there covering it, and I'd actually really want Chris to get down there and be awesome to have you covering. So with that said, let me introduce Chris. Chris is he's out of Western Illinois, small town just near St. Louis, correct, Chris?
That's correct. Yeah, it's Wood River, Illinois.
And he's one badass dude. He's super talented. He's again mega smart, hella smart, and that's, I mean, every friend I have now seems to just knock my socks off every day. It's crazy, and Chris is no different. He's worked as a photographer. He covered shamanic boom and tri-unity festivals in the Midwest, covering those with doing your photography work. And he's also the vice president of Unify Farms, which is a permaculture business that is really trying to help people raise their own food and be part of that growing process and creating systems right there on your own property that feed your family. It's like just as good as money. So basically he is planting money trees in people's yards. And if you're in the Western Illinois or St. Louis area, call this guy because he's got some solutions for you. So with no further ado, Chris, welcome to the show, brother.
Oh man, it's great to be on. Thank you. That was a really wonderful introduction. Thank you. A follow up on that, man. Thanks.
Well, it's you, dude. It's just you. I'm just describing you. Man, I'm really excited to have you on. In fact, there's so many things I wanted to talk to you about, but I was thinking, since I'm having, specifically you two guys who are two men who really are living very purposefully, you know what I mean? And you're men of action, you're men of resources, you're in creation of abundance for your life and your family's lives. And I was thinking, man, this has been a topic that's been on my mind a lot lately, and it's masculinity and what it is to be a man. Okay, that famous question, what does it take to be a man? And there's, of course, we have a million definitions, and I really wanted to kind of I wanted to discuss with you guys what that really means. I think that in many ways we've lived in a world where it's like maybe the pendulum's gone a little too far. We go from a world that's so totally out of balance with male domination. Poor women didn't have rights. I mean, let's just call it right now what it is to be a man. Of course, what it is to be a man believes in equal rights for man and woman. It's absolutely, and anyone who doesn't is, to be honest with you, it's a lesser evolved human being if that's what you're thinking. So, time to catch up. Women are just as powerful as we are. It's absolutely ridiculous to think anything other than that. So, with that said, guys, I think there's a need for real men to emerge onto the scene right now in 2017. Boys, if you're out there listening, it's time to step up and be a man. And I got two men that are right here, and we're going to talk about it. So, let's start off with you, Chris. What comes to mind? How does a boy become a man, and what does that even mean?
Well, I think a lot of this whole issue has to do with the fundamental misunderstanding of what we are as beings, and that we see that really that man and woman are really any different. We're the same being. It's if you follow back to the blueprint, if you dig into sacred geometry and alchemy and any of these things, you'll see that what we are truly is an androgenic being, is a form of expression. So we all come from this same source, which is inside of all of us. So to say that one isn't necessarily any better or worse than the other is inherently flawed. And then on top of it is a lot of the roles that get distorted because of this I think this perception of what our energies actually can contribute to one another. So what we have in the world today is a lot of I think of repercussions of thousands of years of male patriarchal dominated religions and religious systems that put the man or some kind of central male figure at the middle of the story, and that somehow energetically women are not at the center, or that man and woman together are not at the center. In some senses you could say, well, in the Bible, Adam and Eve and all that, but still it's way polarized to be favoring the man. And I just think inherently, if anybody studies studies Gnostic information or like really gets into any of this at all, they'll right away they'll see that like that holding that viewpoint is inherently flawed. That there's really any necessarily difference in terms of one better than the other, and that's a whole like a whole concept of like thinking of things as better or worse than another as well, which is another part of digging into Gnostic information. But ultimately, you know, you got to look at like what men like, kind of like what kind of naturally comes forth in their expression, and like what the divine masculine kind of like almost like shows within nature of what you can call out. It's almost like it's something that is supportive, and it's like it's penetrating, it's supportive, it is all encompassing.
Say it, dude.
Like,
just say it.
All right. Yeah. Right.
Penetrate it.
Exactly. It's typically a force that is of protection, that fosters growth, that like creates a stable environment. Typically, that's what you will typically see in nature. As well as like with bears and eating their own fucking cubs and not caring. So that's also you gotta watch out for. That's part of our character. We gotta hone down when we're eating our cubs. So
well, in many ways, that is what happens if you like. Men have acted from their monkey minds. I mean, that is definitely part of us. That monkey mind that. Even in human world, where a man comes into a situation, and if the woman has babies, he makes the lives of those babies hell, basically, because he rejects them.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't kill them, maybe he does. God, I'm sure that's even happened too. So, God, it's been an evolution that's been going on in terms of even answering this question of what it is to be a man. And,
right.
Who's this? I'm not saying that people in the past have had it, but what does it mean to be a man in 2017? What does that mean? Can we learn from the past? Can we look to our grandfathers and be like, you know what? I think maybe the modern man has thrown away some stuff that Grandpa had, and Grandpa was manly as hell, that tool belt, knew how to fix everything. I mean, honestly, the fact that we're so dependent on other people now in these worlds of specializations, where our economy is totally based on you understanding one task. Now you're not well-rounded at all. And you go do that one task for 45 hours a week, and then, you have to get people to deliver your food because you're, so tired, and, you don't even have time to make your own food. It's a slippery slope of where you don't know how to do anything. And I don't think it doesn't seem like that's a real manly quality, to be honest with you. And I've been seeing it in myself too, that this idea of being self-reliant is very powerful. It's very empowering. You know what I mean? The ability to take care of oneself and to take care of if you are in a committed relationship, to take care of your partner and your children. That's really, I think at least in my book, I do think that is a masculine quality. There is this provider, protector element, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
No, absolutely not. Because that's part of it. Is like in some senses, the dynamics of the way like life plays out. Like somebody's got to hold the polarity. In some senses, it's like women, yes, like they can protect themselves, but like they're also the one that like takes on the burden of having to carry the child, and like that is an immense physical burden that like if they had to physically defend themselves, like it's going to be harder, or it's easier to be injured, and it could risk the life of the child. That's why the man steps in the way and is like, no, get away from my family.
Don't fuck with my lady.
Yeah, right. setting boundaries and being firm, and like that's kind of like a masculine quality that's like not expressed enough, is like getting everybody the hell out of your face. Like you do deserve to have some boundary with your space to create and cultivate your little petri dish of a life. Like you have permission to create your own life, and all these forces and things acting on you are doing that. They're trying to penetrate your reality. Like even the surrogate government system and all this crazy stuff is just trying to penetrate you, because like really what's inside of you is everything. You have like an unlimited well inside of you, so anything that's trying to come at you is just trying to pull from you, and it's trying to like breach you basically. So that's part of, I feel like, a masculine trait that's not taken in enough by enough dudes. Is like with the media or different things you're just absorbing, that's like affecting your thoughts and the way you would think about women, or like the way that we kind of have distorted perceptions of women, like a lot of the way through movies, through music and different things. Like the things that they say and like the way that it's said and the energy that's there is like, it's about distorting the feminine. A lot of it is just, it's only presenting things like when it has to do with the feminine, or has even to do with like things like youth and stuff like that. It's like, it's only calling to the things that it's not like showing the wisdom or showing the grace or the beauty. It's showing like the lust and like the almost the just not distorted aspects of it, but the less benevolent aspects of a being. It's like, that's what it's calling to as being the cool thing, is being ratchet or some shit. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It's cool. And that women should want to gravitate towards men that want to abuse them emotionally or treat them as less than what they are, and that's, I don't know, that's I understand it's also art too. So it's like, I can listen to that stuff, I listen to it, and I'm not going to treat my girlfriend that way. In some senses, like, yeah, you could say, well, you're still exposing yourself to it, but I think there's a lot to be said for really like doing a lot of your own, like cleaning out, and like understanding what affects your thoughts. Like if you do notice yourself listening to that and then, you get an attitude about it, then do something about it, but everybody, has their own thing too. So I'm not saying that you need to stop listening to your favorite music or anything like that. Not at all. Just recognize that what you're listening to a lot of times is suggesting an entire perception of reality to you that might be just them making it up for shits and gigs, and here you are actually using it in the reality, thinking it's going to get you somewhere or something, where they were just making this up to make a buck and to make something that you could dance to. They really didn't care at all about what they were saying. They're just like, you idiots will buy it, so I'll make it, So.
Well, you think about it, there's so many communities that are getting their male role models from media. There are a lot of communities in the United States alone that there's not very many like really good, upstanding, like adult male role models. Like there's young boys that don't really know who to mimic, in a sense. It's in many ways we are mimicking each other. That's what being a child is. You're picking and pulling what from your surroundings in many ways. So it's really essential that this world has like some men that really want to stand up and find this answer out for themselves. It's like, in many ways it's very subjective. Like, what is it to be a man? Well, go on the quest. Go on the quest of what it is to be a man. Take that journey on. Take that like quest on. It's like the hero's journey of all time. And don't be afraid to, whatever fantasy you have of, if you're Conan the Barbarian in your world, then fucking be Conan the Barbarian, man. Get some big muscles and be,
go to the gym and get buff.
Yeah, dude, if that's what your hero looks like, do it. Do it up, man. I think you should own it, be confident and show it. But as long as you are also really, you're the Conan on the inside as well, and you're really working on, overcoming those things that really enslave you, So, one of those things is like the physical body. I want to ask you guys. I'll ask you, AJ, because you're someone who's so physical. You're super fit guy. For guys out there that are struggling to like make the jump, where they know they got to start taking care of themselves better, but they just can't find that, oomph to like make the commitment to it. What would your recommendation be to them, and what is that switch that needs to be turned on?
I would say that, well, the easy switch, or the switch in general, is like it's when you get to a point where you're like laying in bed at night and you're going, fuck, like I'm feeling bad for myself because I might be overweight, or girls aren't talking to me, I'm not getting looked at, when I'm going to a festival, let's say, or wherever and whenever you're trying to like maybe put out your energy and be like a guy that's going to pick up some chicks or something, something like that. Or maybe you go to the bar and you're not getting hit on by, or when you go to try and hit on a girl, you're getting shit back. You're getting a drink dumped on you or whatever. And basically, I would say that like that's your coming to Jesus moment or whatever. It's like in bed and basically just wake up in the morning and put some shoes on, go for a walk. It really is that easy. Like, go for 3 miles, go for 6 miles. And, depending on where you live, go to the mountains, go to a river, you know what I mean? Go to meetup.com and, and on meetup.com, you can
get on that Tinder.
Yeah. but just for like the physical, the physical, depending on where you are, in that, in that entry level stage, it's as easy as just putting on the tennis shoes and walking around the block, because when you go walk around the block, your brain's gonna start ticking, you're gonna start feeling better, the dopamine's gonna start dropping, and that's gonna lead to a whole lot of other discoveries sort of about you and about your your personality and things like that. And ultimately, by being physically, fit or physically capable of like going out into the wilderness or the concrete jungle, wherever you go, just having that feeling of like, yeah, I feel like a badass, or I feel good about myself, you know what I mean? Because I'm physically fit. Like I can, jump over a fence if I needed to right now, or if I, I could steal a bike if I had to right now, or I could kick somebody off of a motorcycle if the world was going to end and I could take that motorcycle. I don't know what it is, but there's a certain like level of feeling good. Your energy, I think, is going to be a little bit higher, and so it gives you a little bit more clarity to like work on yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
So
what about you, Chris? Like how did you make the jump in your own life?
I guess it's kind of funny, it literally just flashed to me, the jump was when I looked at a picture of myself when I was like, I think I was 17, and I just looked at a picture of myself when I was on vacation in swimming trunks. And like, I've never really been so much overweight in my life. I've been blessed with a really great metabolism, but that was the chunkiest period of my life for sure. And I looked at it and I was like, man, like I can't stand that for myself anymore. I just want to look healthy. I just noticed that I just didn't look healthy. And it wasn't just like that I was overweight or anything. For me, it was just like I could just tell that like there was more water weight from like inflammation from things that I was eating, from like sugars, salts, preservatives, all this different stuff. That's kind of like what I saw. So I was like, like there's more to this body that I think I really need to work on. Just like, I feel like there's more that I can experience, like more of myself, my own emotions, my happiness, my life, like my own energy that I could experience. And I felt like all the things that I was not all the things I was doing, but a lot of things that I was doing was really hindering me from experiencing me. And I think a lot of it really started around the times I started like experimenting with psychedelics and stuff. It kind of showed me more of like why you really want to take good care of your body, so that you are a good conduit for life, basically. When you're full of shit, you're full of shit, So I started with like cutting out fast food and stuff like that. And I'd always, like, I grew up playing sports and stuff like baseball and everything. And so I had always like worked out. And then had been in periods of like working out, not working out, working out, not working out. And, I find that like a lot of times anymore, I don't do a lot of physical working out. I like a lot of times in the summer, I do a lot of physical work. Like a lot of times I'm actually just very active.
Right.
I do a lot of yoga too. I really enjoy yoga, and that keeps me fit and keeps my muscles like toned and stuff. I'm not trying to get huge right now, at least. I've also like this past year or so has also been me transitioning into an entirely different diet too. So I didn't want to just push everything way too hard.
Right.
I'm trying to get it adjusted to going from eating a normal kind of American diet to being, vegan, mostly organic, and as raw as I can. And it's made a huge kind of shift in my body. So I'm like kind of really looking at, I'm glad that we're talking to, looking at like this year and kind of moving forward and like really starting to enliven my body now that I've done some detoxification, cleaned up the diet and everything. And I'm ready to like put everything back in and just like really fill it up, you know what I mean? And working out a lot more. But yoga and all that's gotten me through so far. But definitely I notice when I'm not like keeping up on at least the yoga or even like the meditation and stuff like that too. Just the consistency of maintaining that like that willpower, that like beast mode kind of thing, that like fully like it's a very important part of the dynamic or the balance is your physical fitness is like how much your metabolism is going. I don't even need to explain to you guys, you already know, and most of your audience probably knows how much just being physically fit and keeping your body in tune keeps your mind in tune and your whole being in tune. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's one of those things. It's like it's also kind of like with what I was saying with TV before, like if you have good habits with exercise and all of that, like it's not like you have to absolutely kill yourself over it, but like just knowing when you're getting out of balance and what to do to correct it, and what things are throwing you off of balance, like starting new habits like smoking cigarettes or whatever, like different things like that, like might take you into another habit or another habit that pulls you in a different direction. So when you're healthier, you're more sensitive too. I've noticed that for sure. Like I quit pretty much doing like everything, and like I'm so much more sensitive to anything that I eat or drink or just like smell or stuff that's around me. My physical senses feel like they're not as dulled. So
yeah, it's almost like by being physically fit. I mean, I'm telling you, I can when something starts to ache or something starts to hurt, I can just sort of look back and go, oh, it's because I ate this, or it's because I did this. I can take like 4 minutes and just really sort of reflect on what I did within the past like 24, 48, 72 hours and go, it was that. And
that right there, that mindset is a thing that like I think is really important for people to get, because you have to be so brutally honest with yourself if you really want to accomplish anything with your diet and with improving your health. Because if you cheat out at it all, if you don't create that process, you don't run through it and then check yourself, you take your addiction to this or your food, whatever, to this, and you're kind of putting it out here, but eventually it's going to come back around, if you don't actually address it. So
self honesty is quite important in this, and you have to be able to at least admit when you're lying to yourself.
That's it. Yeah.
Just know that, hey, okay, I'm gonna lie to myself here. I've just acknowledged that. I mean, and I think it's important to be quick at forgiving yourself. So often. One of the key themes in life always is forgiveness, and that's forgiveness of others, which really means forgiveness of yourself so often, and it starts with yourself. And those who when you forgive yourself, oftentimes there's hardly even situations in your life that come up where you even need to forgive other people, because people can't even offend you to begin with. And I mean that's kind of the goal, I suppose, that we're working towards. And I think that's a really, if the theme of the night is masculinity and what it is to be a man, I think that's quite a manly characteristic, like especially when we're talking about with women who are so often, it's a flow, it's this back and forth. I mean, every 28 days, your worst nightmare is coming for you if you're not ready. It could be your worst nightmare, or it could be, from what I've seen, it's my own journey of learning to stay strong and stay grounded, stay firm, I know, phallic symbols all over the place. Stay strong, dude. Even when your woman's is stormy, it's a hurricane outside. Because just remember, it always comes back. Women really are the weather, I think. They're sunny, beautiful days, and they're also, Yeah,
tornadoes.
But that's the fun part. We love it, man. We love it. We're, as AJ's dad says, we're all a bunch of drama queens in the end. So, it's fun. It's exciting to be with someone who's so unpredictable in many ways. I mean, because when it's good, it's good. Mm-hmm. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think of that relationship of what does it mean to be a man in terms of our relationship with women specifically?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, Chris, go. I'd love to hear. Yeah, go for it, dude.
Yeah, I think that to kind of touch to bring this point into this one, to bring the point that I had for what you had just said into this, to say is that you made a really good comment about how it's unpredictable, and that's kind of the nature of the divine feminine, is it's unpredictable. It's kind of like its motif to be like, it's kind of like the characteristic of the unknown, you know what I mean? And like in the yin yang kind of concept, it's like the darkness, the blackness, the ma'at, the unknown, the raw matter of like being able to be transmuted and recreated into something, which is kind of like what their whole cycle represents. Like they literally like are. That's what's so beautiful about them, is they literally, you are watching the story of the tree of life like play through in their body. Like, especially if you were to actually impregnate them,
fucking beautiful, man.
Especially if you impregnate them. Yeah.
The blueprint unfold in front of you, and that's literally that's what they carry.
Sorry, dude.
It's literally what they carry, and that's part of that. Like the gift that they get to carry, that part of that is like that unpredictability, and like holding that is the desire for the predictability, for the support. Because if the woman's out there in the wild trying to have the baby and it's unsupported, here comes a bear, But if the man's there and he's got a stick or some fire or something, he's got that support. He is reliable. He's dependent. He's going to kill that fucking bear, or shoot away or whatever. Like that is going to happen, and it's reliable, and the structure is there. So I feel like that's what a lot of masculinity is about. Being a man is being there.
Yeah, I like that.
Present and being conscious and being mindful and being stewardly and just being like literally being a force of like maintaining an environment, maintaining a being, and like fostering its growth from nothing to whatever it wants to become.
And even if being there, by the way, means that you don't have any idea what's going on and you're confused as hell, and you're like, I don't know, this is like, I'm out of my comfort zone. This is crazy. I mean, but you just you hang in there, man. You just hang in there. That's what being a man is. So because so many women have been in these situations where lesser men have run off then. And then, like you said, in their most vulnerable moments, and it doesn't necessarily mean a grizzly bear. Thank goodness we've kind of conquered that issue for the most part in modern civilization. But it could be just deep emotional vulnerability. And then when they go there, when they go to that place, hasta luego, man. The man hits the door. He takes it all. He starts taking it personal. And and you go through those cycles, of blaming each other and fighting and the whole crazy, we've all been there.
So many times.
But I really do think, man, it's like hanging in there, even despite whatever confusion you have, and just being really committed, because I do think, I saw this meme the other day. It was a little harsh, but it's like, the woman's reading her guy's cell phone or something like that, and it's something like, I don't care because I'm not a douchebag or something like that. And I'm like, it was kind of maybe a little judgy, but at the same time, I do think it's important that if the way a man treats a woman is, if you make a commitment to her, then you stick with it. And if you no longer want to be with her, then you get out of it. You man up and you break up with her. Because it can cause a lot of trauma in their life and in your own, to be honest with you. I mean, you're going to suffer from a lot of guilt and shit. It eventually come and bite you in the ass. So, being really committed, and that's really hard. And I'm not saying that I'm some expert, and I'm not saying that I've always been some beacon of light with this. I mean, I'm learning myself, But I can see now in my life, now that I've really got to a point where I can have a woman that I the woman that I'm actually capable of making a commitment to, in a sense, and her being that one for me. It's like it's showing me a whole bunch about what it is to make commitments in all of my life, like to be a man of your word and live up to that and be there every time. If you give your word, then be there. Mm-hmm. It's pretty, you said that, Chris, and it's pretty powerful. So
yeah, and it's I don't know. It's like, at what point did that drop off? Like, at what point did we forget all of that? About, and I don't know if it's just something we've like it's being expressed in certain pockets of humanity. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely around. Like, those virtues are here. There are men that are doing these kinds of things, but it's like, what? I don't know. I guess we kind of talked about it. Like, there's just how the flow of history goes and the influences that are out there and the types of media that people consume and just the whole beliefs that people have can totally, sway what they think about one another and how they treat one another in their own houses, let alone what we do in public. But so that just goes to show you that if they can happen that way, then the opposite can happen that way too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that, and I think overwhelmingly so. I think that it takes a long time for like a lot of really negative shit to be like really imprinted into the consciousness of people. But like when something really good happens, things really pick up. Like when really awesome people or really awesome movements or whatever comes around, it changes everything so quickly,
Yep.
And it's so much the better. And
it's kind of like that, the 100th monkey. I mean, you don't need the whole entire monkey tribe to learn it, because all you need is once the 100th one learns it, it's like it sweeps across through, maybe it's this morphic resonance that Rupert Sheldrake talks about, and we really truly are connected. And once you reach certain threshold, it does sweep across an entire species. So, I mean, and I think there are a lot of men, younger men, I will say, like men under 40 who are really trying to step up and live like a man now. You don't have to wait till you're 50 or be some grandpa to finally get it. I mean, it'd be great to have, young men and even in their 20s be learning this, sooner than later. Maybe we don't have to have these generations where they have these, a whole decade of their lives full of, fuck ups and bullshit, going through tons of pain cycles and going through shitty relationships and having, to be honest with you, maybe children that are born into broken relationships, which then will be broken families in the end. And God, they suck, that sucks. I mean, I can say I'm AJ and I have experienced that. So, it's unfortunate for everyone involved, but a lot of it's been a bunch of kids trying to figure it out on their own or living up to some cultural model that there was a model for it, but there wasn't anyone hardly living it, it's like people talking about Jesus, but who's really living like him, Right. And they're few and far between, and we just need those who really are wanting to exemplify that and be like men of integrity to, help another guy out, man. There's a lot of men out there that, feel like they can't connect with other men on all levels. Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there's the spiritual communities, and a lot of the world that we hang out in, it seems like that's much more open. But I think sometimes the pendulum's gone a little too far, where it's like in that world, it's telling these guys who've really been trying to balance out the feminine side, but to also, hey, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because you're coming into this new connection with your feminine side, to not lose what it is to be masculine as well, and but then there's this other group who are physically living what it is to be masculine, but there's the other part of them that they have no access to, and they're suffering from, just to be honest with you, a bunch of emotional debris that needs to just be let go of, and could be let go of with the right kind of men in their lives.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that primitive part, I mean, when the woman is right there and she's having the baby, or maybe she's just protecting, she's pregnant, and protecting the child inside of the womb and whatnot. The male still, can be sensitive, can say, hey, I know you're going through some stuff, but fuck, I still got to go chop wood, right? I still have to act. I still have to go and find, a food source. I've got to go find the pine trees or whatever and get the seeds out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like guys today. I mean, there's got to be that. You can't just sit there and sort of drown yourself in the trying to relate to females all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to.
Totally get it.
It's like you've got to still go out and like add value to the market, bring value to the marketplace. Jim Rohn is this guy I used to listen to all the time, and he talks about bringing value to the marketplace. It's just like how can you become more valuable, and then bring it out to the world. It's and ultimately you're gonna better your family, yourself, your family, those people around you.
Mm-hmm. And that's a huge. Are you going to say something, Clint? I saw you.
No. Go, dude. I always talk too much. You guys need to talk.
So that's another thing that you had said that kind of like reminds me of like just how that whole like even for ourselves as men, like that a lot of times we fail to fulfill a lot of our other roles for the feminine or for the divine feminine because like we have trouble fulfilling our own roles for ourselves, fulfilling our own, like you're saying, like getting the wood, getting the things that actually like, getting the
Get in the wood, dude.
I couldn't just go right over that.
Gotta get both of them.
Doing the gathering, like, doing man shit, when we get disconnected from that, we become kind of listless, and I feel like there's a lot of guys out there that they're still being like, okay, the dynamic that you said, it's like there's the man who's like very masculine and very connected to the job and the whole foundation, and then there's the guy who's like real feminine, kind of like getting in touch with that side, going very polarized spiritual, and like it's kind of like where we really need to be is in the middle of that, merging those things together. But it's like the thing that like gets us there, the initiation, the thing that like men need from one another to know that like you're at that point where you're in the middle now. It's not that you need everybody to tell you that, but all they've got for you is a Jesus or a Buddha or a whatever, when a lot of those things are highly unrealistic for most people and really not what a lot of people really even should attain for their life. Like that's not what they came here to do. That's not their game. So I feel like it's like finding how to navigate that balance. Got a call. Finding how to navigate that balance in a way where you're taking that responsibility for yourself to like find out what that balance is for you. It's like starting that path, like starting that mystery, and like that's also part of it. Like even engaging in it is also kind of getting into the feminine. Like that's what I found. Like when me jumping into spirituality, because I was also partially like kind of getting polarized feminine with it, and like I swung like farther in that direction and like moving, like it's like the pendulum swings like way far out when you're polarized. It's like you kind of like go out and then you kind of like settle back toward the middle, and I'm getting a lot more in the middle of my consciousness now. It's like I feel like I'm more getting out of that stage in my own mind and my own being, where I feel like I've been one or been the other. And from those states, I know that like the perspective of each is a distorted perspective of the whole thing. Is that like in order to hold the two, you have to like understand them for what they are, and like without judgment, but without like a need to like heavily polarize yourself to any of those things. But you are like your own kind of self-created, self-mastering, self-generating thing. I don't know, that like you create your own goals and your own responsibilities, and you actually you have the integrity to follow up with them.
Yep.
And like you can fail. That's okay. It's absolutely okay to fail, but you have to do something. You have to try. You have to have to penetrate the reality with your consciousness. I think that's also part of what the man is to do, is like a lot of that like inherent ability of being the penetrator of the reality is like, you know, a lot of times men are the one that are building things. Like our physical muscles a lot of times are just a little bit bigger and stronger. And, you know, if though women, like, I'm kind of like bringing this back to like hunter-gatherer, like more primitive kind of things to just explain these archetypes, is that, you know, if the woman is pregnant or is taking care of children or whatever, you know, the dudes are building the shed or building the house or whatever, and the women are cooking. Or, and not saying that that's how it has to be, because it could even be totally reversed. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not saying that this is,
and it could be that, by the way, it could be that too.
Right, absolutely, and that should be like we should take turns with it. That's also part of this whole balance. I think we need to find is that the women, it's also like we also need to learn how to like take on some of those roles, so we also understand like the actual weight a lot of times that they have. Like a lot of dudes take their mom so much for granted because they don't realize how much of a pain in the ass it is to do dishes and laundry alone, how much work that is physically on your back and all that stuff, not to mention all the things that they would otherwise do for us, you know. So
and I think though that is the objective of the father, is to help the son understand that and see that, you know. Moms do their best to try to, you know, make sure they get their respect, but when you have a really balanced home and you actually have an active father there who can instill that, you know, like no, mom ain't just some, you know, she ain't the maid service, okay.
Sometimes you gotta hit your kid. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you got to hit him and be like, "Hey, look, you know, look, son, like respect your mom, you know, like respect the woman in your, you know, because you know your mom is ultimately, you know, if you get back to that whole psychological thing, your mom is who your wife is eventually going to be, you know, and so it's like, if you're the father and your kid's acting up, you know, throwing your shit everywhere and not cleaning up your room, or, you know, not, you know, talking down to your mom or whatever. It's like, hey, kid, no, that's not how it's going to be, you know?
Yeah. I think if you had man-woman relationships like that, you know, husband and wife, mother and father relationships that were really full of respect and love and, you know, like really conscious people and people who were hardworking as well, and so on and so forth. Like those kids that would be raised in a home like that probably wouldn't have to kiss as many frogs before they met their prince, in a sense, or vice versa, you know, reverse it. Right. You know, I think that those people would know what it feels like. Most people they don't even know what like, you know, true love, romantic love even looks like. How about just respectful romantic love? It doesn't even have to be some cosmic thing. Just people, two people that actually just respect each other. Even for some people, that's a rare thing, man. They've never even seen that. And no wonder they don't believe it. No wonder when they get into a relationship, they freak out and have no trust and, you know, panic. And, you know, there's a lot of trauma that comes from that. Like a brand new baby knows when it's born into this world, it's like it's already programmed to receive conscious parents. It's ready for it. It wants it. That's all. It's all programmed, ready for it. And then all of a sudden, you know, given now we're talking about, you know, humanity story, and there's this evolution that's been going on, and so a lot of babies have been shit out into this like chaos world, you know, just absolute chaos. And there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of healing that needs to be done from that. And I think that's what we're involved in right now. And I think men need to help heal other men, and just as women are doing. And that's one thing that women have an advantage of over men, even in this male-dominated world, is that the idea of connecting on an emotional level with each other they've always had access to that. It hasn't been like culturally shamed like it has with men. And a lot of men, especially if you come from more the other side where you got the provider side down, but you don't have the heart side of it down in a sense, or you don't have that inner world opened yet. You know, it's vital to do it, man. It's vital to find that balance. That's what a complete man really looks like, I think. And you'll be able to enjoy everything more. You'll be able to enjoy your children more. You'll be able to enjoy the woman that you're with even more. You'll be whatever, even your partner, even if you're gay, whatever that be. I mean, we're focusing right now kind of on traditional, heterosexual relationships, but even for those who are gay, these all still apply. Be the manly man in that relationship as well, or whatever role you play in that relationship.
But it's usually kind of still the same dynamic. It's still a positive and a negative. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's still yin yang, and how you treat the other person is. I learned this. I was in a sweat lodge, and like this sunk in so deep for me, is that your significant other is your portal to the rest of the universe. It is like everything, the way that you treat them, the way that you respect their energy and all of that has everything to do with what happens to you. Because it's like the closest version of you, the closest reflection of you. And I think there's two great points here. One is that you were hitting on, Clint, was about how we're kind of like taught not to feel or express our feelings as men, which is utter bullshit. And it's something that's like this like stonewall fucking just put your head down and go to work mentality that's somehow stuck with a lot of guys, and I think they get in this ego thing that they can't express their feelings, when like that's really what absolutely needs to happen.
Yeah.
And then two is this kind of thing we've been dancing around in the podcast, and I've kind of talked about with this blueprint, with this whole thing is like, and you've interviewed Chance some, and me and Chance are in a lot of alignment with our beliefs about all is self, that everybody else is a reflection of you. It's like it's an infinitely connected consciousness. So like in some senses, like they are a variation of you. So really, like how you are treating them in that moment is how you are treating the entire universe looking at you.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
And so like it's not what it is, where it is, it's not judging you. It just is. It's like the yin yang is not going to judge you. The flower of life is not going to judge you. It just is. It's just a structure. So that whole dynamic, that energy dynamic, it's kind of like you're literally getting exactly what you're asking for. Whether you know it or not, that's your responsibility as a man, as a creator, as a human, as a light being. A human is basically hue, spectrum, light hue. Like you are just a light man. Whether you have
I like that.
A wiener or a vagina,
I like
doesn't
that
really
breakdown,
matter.
yeah.
Like you're it. So really, like what a lot of this comes down to is just like fundamentally misunderstanding what we are and what like our place in all of this, and like exploring all this, and like while like we're in the full spectrum of experience, so anything that could ever happen is happening now. You know what I mean? It's all here. So like, yes, there's going to be a Hitler, there's going to be racism, there's going to be all of this stuff. It's great. It's horrible, but it's great. Okay. But it's all here for us to learn, or it can be, So it's all about how we want to shift our focus, and a lot about like what we look at really determines like, and how we feel about it really determines how it's going to appear to us. So if we're coming and we're holding these judgments about the feminine and those things inside, when we look at it, no matter what we're seeing, it's going to be judgment. It's not going to be what it actually is. You're going to see a variation of it. To you in this life, it may appear as this girlfriend, this wife, or this thing, and this circumstance. And that's it. Is like, this is the world too. And like, that's something I like listening to Seven Bomar and the Secret Energy and everything. And there's one thing he had said is like, a lot of times when people meet the world, they have issues with it because they don't know the world. The world is literally everything that happens to you. Like you would want to call anything like God. It's hiding in everything that's in front of you, and it's you. So it's always listening to you from the inside of how you think and how you truly feel about things. You can't hide from that. And while you think you might not be projecting that onto people around you, you are, because it's inside of you. It's in your heart. It's in your frequency. It's exuding through your being. So while you might not think you're a misogynist or that you have this opinion of women, if you really hold that deep down, it's going to come into you in a reflection of all kinds of services for you to let that shit go, or for you to clear that karma in some senses. I'm not saying that it's always cut and dried just like that, but in a lot of scenarios, it ends up boiling down to that. That when you carry on a bullshit behavior for long enough, you end up meeting some nasty repercussions that you might not like. That's usually a good compass for finding out what you're doing wrong. And the reality is that the universe doesn't want you to fuck up. It really doesn't. It is going so far out of its way to support you infinitely. So like when you're getting told by these people or these situations or these things that are going or like here, it might be you. It might be your perspectives. It might be how you feel because of that shit you're watching on TV or the music you're listening to, and not really thoroughly following through exactly what it's doing in your consciousness if you've never done that. You know,
dude, I think the universe is a gigantic dating service where it's like a pretty much whatever you are. Like if you think women are bitches and hoes, well, guess who shows up in your life? Women who think they're bitches and hoes. Yeah. And so if you will bring and attract and whatever mirror is necessary for you, and probably both of them will learn in that lesson, you know, like I love myself more than to hang out with men who think I'm a bitch or a hoe, and and even if that woman will make him pay too in ways, you know, and maybe he'll learn to, you know, have more respect for himself and what kind of woman he wants in his life and how he views women. And so hopefully through the pain that they'll cause each other, they will learn their lessons. And if not, the universe sends you someone else. And someone else, and it doesn't have to be a man-woman relationship. It could be your teacher. It could be your neighbor. It could be, you know, just one encounter with one person. It's like it's the universe is always sending you exactly what you need, you know, and it comes in these disguises of other people who, again, when you really get it, who are just us. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all drops in the big ocean, you know, and we all blend into each other, and we all are just one perspective of many perspectives of if you ask me, coming back into one great big perspective. Chris, dude, it's an honor to have you on here, man. And it's an honor to have AJ Baker. It's an honor to have you as our co-host. So glad, you know, you've been a part of this from the beginning. You've been, you know, you helped us shoot the original Lords of Consciousness intro video, you know, to get it going. And it's been, we're coming up close on our year this April, but we're going to be heading to Gem and Jam Festival next week, covering that. We got media passes for that. So we're super excited to be bringing content from so many amazing artists and, you know, musical and with the paintbrush. And many other people too. So we're excited to be creating content there, and we're really excited to, you know, create like a real partnership with you, Chris, in terms of, one, we're just friends at the end of the day. We're brothers in purpose, and so grateful to just have you on board as, you know, one of our tribe. And we're just super excited to get out there and be men who are going to speak integrity, who are going to live and not just speak it, but live it more than anything. And really graduate from just talking to walking, you know, and it's nice to find other men out there that are doing that, you know, and trying to figure it out, providing for themselves, and also working on the inner world that they're in. And it's beautiful to have friends like you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm super grateful to be here with you guys. Both of you guys are like a real powerhouse in this whole thing, and I've been following your media for a while, and
flex off, guys.
there's not enough people out here that are doing this, and like you guys you're doing seriously really incredible work. Like I don't think you realize like how many connections this is going to be creating, and like how much information. Yeah, man. Like, dude, I gotta hats off. This is
Clint. Yeah,
you're killing the game right now. Yeah. So.
And killing the game, thanks, bro. I love that.
I'm trying to figure this thing out. I'm going to do podcasts and all that, so like I'm like learning tons from you. Even like this episode and all the, like I just downloaded Zoom for this one alone and learned all about that. And that's way better.
So cool.
Skype's terrible. Zoom is great. So, you know, I'm learning about that. So and then you know, I'm getting getting to talk with Chance more about like actual dynamics and like things to set up and like Patreon pages and all this stuff. Like there's actual shit that I can do to be involved in all this. And I'm really grateful that I have like basically friends to help me get into it and help share the good news, you know. So I'm just really grateful to be alive and a part of this, alive in this time, and to be a part of something, something like this, and just to be sharing in this energy with you guys, and reaching out to people that, I don't know, like we're so tired of like listening to shit in the news and like a lot of stuff even you find on YouTube and a lot of these sources that we're all into and everything and seek inspiration from. But a lot of us are just wanting to hear from our damn friends, wanting to hear from people in our communities that are actually trying to do things. And I am, you know, like that's what I'm really looking for. And so when I find it, like I'm goddamn grateful for that. I really can't even begin to say that. And that I get the opportunity to speak in front of you guys and then in front of your audience, which is full of just unbelievably amazing people that are doing the same shit. So it's beyond an honor for me. Truly, I'm humbled. So thank you.
Chris, I think I got really lucky to be on this podcast, man. I needed this. I needed to hear what you had to say, man. I felt like I was kind of a quiet co-host or whatnot, you know, just hanging out, great, just listening to you two talk, and I'm pretty geeked about it. What's next for you, man? I mean, Chris, what's next for you? I mean, you're me. What's the next festival? What's the next thing with the
Well, I haven't decided specifically on what the next festival is going to be. I know I'm going to be at Shangri-La for sure. The Body Art Photo Squad thing.
Where's that?
That's in Wisconsin. I might have that wrong. I might be entirely wrong about that. But it's where Wookiefoot has their like own farm place.
Minnesota? I think it's Minnesota.
But actually, Mark from Wookiefoot invited Davide, my friend, the artist, for us to go and to perform the body art stuff there. So
hell yeah, man!
Nice. Super stoked for that. We might be going to the UNTS in California the week before as well. Or not the week before. What am I talking about? It's not the week before. It's a different time. That's another one that's on the horizon. We're trying to kind of get the funds and the resources together to be able to make that hike out there, but I'm really wanting to check out the West Coast. I've never been there, so stoked for that.
Well, you got a place to stay here anytime, man, in Arizona. Awesome. Where can people follow you? Can they follow you on Instagram or Facebook or even random strangers that want to? This man is really impressive, dude. So
Facebook is probably the best place to reach me right now. I'm in the middle of kind of getting, like, you know, my business page and everything fully up, and my photography page is up. You can check that out through my regular page, and I have my business website. But check out my Facebook page. You can find me, chris-abert. You know, you'll see how it's spelled in here, and you can link my Facebook page. That's fine. It's a public page. Anybody can add me. I don't care.
Cool.
And then you'll see everything I'm involved in. Pretty much from there, you'll see my photography page, my Unify Farms page. There's really not a lot going on the Unify Farms page right now. I got to add some more pictures and some posts and stuff like that to it. But just kind of getting everything together with all that. But you can also check out my website with Unify Farms. It's www.uni-phi-farms.com. So yeah, I'm trying to get my social media game together, trying to get my website fully up and going too. That's another thing Chance is helping me with. So
nice.
I'm kind of in this process where I'm like about to just like make some shit explode. I feel like I just got some mechanics that I am kind of putting into place and getting fully together, so it's something that's nice and presentable and shareable with people, and it looks good, you know what I mean? So I just got some more work to put into that, but I'm super stoked to let it out. So check it out. That's just kind of just trying to be honest with where I'm at with everything. I'm not saying
I love it.
Yeah.
No, man. We're all this is
part
a marathon.
Yeah, that's part of it. Is I want to show people this is I'm just a really just regular dude, and I'm just kind of getting into this shit, figuring this out myself, and have been fortunate enough to have amazing friends along the way to help me out. And that's the other thing I realize is that if you have a powerful enough intention and you really do want to do something that other people that will believe in, you will find support. You absolutely will. You'll find other people that are interested in it, and they will help you. And you need to believe in that. That's a lot of things that keeps people from doing anything at all with the things that they believe in, is because they feel like other people won't believe in it too, or they won't just come out of the woodwork and help them for no reason, pretty much. That happens all the time, and you absolutely should believe in that. Not that you should always count on just like that you're just waiting for somebody to literally pop up, but it happens. So
nature rewards courage.
Be open to that happening.
Yeah.
And part of that is believing in yourself, and that's been a big one for me. And that's part of this whole process of cleaning out all my physical shit and mental stuff going on and all this stuff, and getting clean, getting solid in my foundation of who I am, and moving forward from there. And I've found that I really want to help people, and this is how I'm trying to do it. So this is where I'm at.
Well, thank you for being manly, dude, and being manly as fuck, because honestly, I really appreciate it. On behalf of all of us other guys, it's nice to have someone else who's you can see them living it in their own life. Same with this guy, AJ Baker. This guy is definitely manly as fuck, and I appreciate him for that. Leading the way on that, always inspiring others around him and lifting them up, and challenging men and boys to do hard things, do things that challenge them and scare them, and go after it. And dude, it's nice to have a friend like this, and you guys are awesome. AJ, where can people find you on Instagram?
Oh God,
you have such amazing pictures from all of his travels.
So it's AJ Baker 3000 on Instagram. I haven't really posted anything since Costa Rica. I haven't really posted much.
Okay, well he'll be getting back to that.
Yeah,
I'll he takes some amazing pictures from all around the world. He's the global traveler.
My girlfriend Beth and I are putting together some things, and so I think I've been holding off on like all social media stuff so I can use it for other stuff. I want to put links in there and say, hey, check out my Instagram, and then go check out my other stuff too. So
yeah. He's a man of wealth and taste and an entrepreneurial spirit like no other.
Yeah.
And one day we're gonna have to get his beautiful lady Beth on the show, because she's amazing too. So
super big nerd,
and
great
smartest freaking chick of all time.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you very much.
Nice meeting you,
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Be good, man.
See you, brother.
You too.